to Stand Up Speak Out UK presents That Was the News That Was. One day I will do that pre-recording. But my week is not, I suppose, I'm dedicated. You know, I'm spending a lot of time either talking to other people, doing research. And like now I'm doing this recording. What's the time now? It's 9:30, Thursday evening. And maybe I've missed more news while doing this. Because at the moment it's coming out like fast as anything. But, as you know, I try and look for a theme. My theme this week is change. And it's been a week of change, I think. For more people than we suspect. So let's go back to last Friday night. Last Friday night, it is reported that Sunak Braverman, after all moaning about the police, spoke to the police person and said, "I have faith in you." I'm going to say to you now, I don't think that happened. Sunak Braverman, and people say, why do I call her Sue Ellen? And everybody calls her Sue Ella. Sue Ellen is her real name, not Sue Ella. And it's a nice. I think if you hear someone say, "Oh, I'm Sue Ella," what do you think? They're nice, aren't they? Well, I don't think she is nice. I personally think she's a nasty piece of work. But that's a personal feeling. Remember, I always said to you that sometimes I'll say things you would totally disagree with me. And that is your right. We live in a democracy. I just happen to like it at the podcast. Why don't you set a podcast and do the Anti-Ian podcast? Got a nice name to it, hasn't it? So let's go back. So the march went off on Saturday, and the Palestinian Peace March, not as Sue Ellen described it. Oh, I'm calling it that now. Sue Ellen described it a hate march, pro-hate. There were some Hamas there, unfortunately, and they were saying the usual, I think, rubbish. And there were some arrests. But 2 miles away, there was the far right come out. They'd come out tooled up with knives. And some of them were pissed. And they said to the police, "We're here to protect the cenotaph." The march was going to go nowhere near the cenotaph. They were looking for trouble. I'm going to tell you an example of the stupid thing about trouble. I am a football fan. I support what I consider the greatest team in the world. I'll tell you what it is. The mighty Spurs. But I do realise there are people who, for some reason, support other teams. One of my best friends, he supports West Ham. How disgusting. But it's his right. I truly believe that everybody has a right choice. That is in my world. Maybe not in other people's worlds. And when I was a job club coach, I used to lecture on equal opportunities. I talked about football. It's the same thing with politics. Some people are so fanatic about what they're doing. Nobody else exists. But that's an aside. But think about this. That you have a right to decide what you want. You might not disagree with me. Actually, Wednesday I was going to Iceland to get something. I was coming out. And I just happened to mention this woman how I didn't like Suella Braverman. She said, "I like her. I think she's quite right about the refugees. They're a drain on our commodity." No, we didn't shout at each other. Didn't call each other idiots. Might have crossed both our minds. Didn't know she was giving her point of view. Unfortunately, with Sue Ellen, her point of view is the only point of view that matters. And I would put her among a fanatic. So after all these arrests on Saturday night, what'd she say? How wrong the police commissioner was. That's why I suspect she never approved him on a Friday. 48 hours she's approving, and 24 hours later she's not. Huh. And I must admit, someday I thought, what's going to happen? This is ridiculous. Sunak has now proven to me, in my eyes, that he's weak. I always put him as, he's like me, an intellectual. Now, I have been in fights, unfortunately. Try and talk my way out of them. Some I have, some I haven't. But I don't imagine he's been any real big tussle. He talks about being a man of the people, remember, at one stage. Well, I'd be a man of the people if I had much money as him, because I'd be saying to people, yeah, I'll have a drink. I don't drink, by the way. Now, I woke up Monday morning. I was doing my research to rather late Sunday night. Every day I'm doing research for this. And I see the headlines. Braverman sacked. The next minute I hear James Cleverly, I'm going to talk about very soon, will now be taking over the Home Office. He was the Foreign Secretary. But who's taken over the Foreign Office? None other than our previous Prime Minister, David Cameron, who I have a bit of a dislike to, because when Brexit vote came in, now sure, he voted to remain. I voted to remain. But my thought is that these political people are our employees. And sometimes you have to do things you don't like. But he decided to go. And I thought, what would happen again? Why bring him back? He was made a Lord. He's not an MP. He doesn't answer to the House as such. Very confusing times. But you've got to see what happens. Although in Maggie Thatcher's day, there's the Lord. So nothing really happened. And then Tuesday morning, another bombshell hit. Sue Ellen Braverman sent a copy of her letter to the papers. It was published word for word. At the very beginning, she says, "Dear Prime Minister." I can't remember if she said, "Dear Prime Minister." I know she didn't mean it. She said, "Dear." You asked me to resign. Hold on a minute, I thought she was sacked. I've actually been in a position where I was either asked to resign or I'll get sacked. And I suspect that's what it was with her. She was going to get the bullet anyway. But for her it sounds nicer. It's also still bringing power in her court. It was a 3-page letter. I would say a quarter of that letter was very nice. And then she hit out about his weakness, about that he'd agreed with her to do certain things. The boats is one of them. And there's a document. There's an actual document of everything they agreed to. Now, she never said he signed the document, I noticed. But he said he agreed to it. So surely there's some notation. Why the hell has nobody asked to see this bloody document? Excuse the language. That's the strongest language I would ever use. I don't swear. If I do swear, then I've lost it. Yeah, why has nobody asked to see this document? Yeah, sure, Suella, you say all these things. Nobody, papers, nobody. They've just seen the letter. Sunak has ignored the letter. But on the Wednesday, the decision about Rwanda was going to be revealed. Now, I hoped it was going to be refused, and it was. The grounds were that Rwanda is not a safe place to go to. And I agree, that's the reason I don't want to go there. Also, I thought it was stupid myself for other reasons. But Rwanda has a history of murder. Let's say that. They actually had some refugees from another country. They sent them back there to get killed. How do we know this won't happen here? They've actually, some people disagreed with the ruling party or whatever it is. I think it's a dictatorship. I haven't really looked into it, so somebody might be able to correct me on this. They killed them because they disagreed. We live in a democracy. what we're supposed to do. I have doubts about it sometimes. So they refused. Lots of things are happening. Then that afternoon, Sunak stood up and said, we will put a special ruling. The government will put a special ruling out to get these planes back to Rwanda. I'm thinking, why is he doing this? This is not the Sunak I know. The friendly guy who laughs all the time. And virtually, if you see him, most of the time he's smiling. Even if he's telling you, bad news. I thought about it. And I think I'm a good interpreter of human behaviour. I think it's a proof that he's tough. And if you think about it, when people usually are told they're not something, and they go the other way, they go OTT with it. And that's what he's doing at the moment. He's going OTT. And we have a problem here. I have read an article today that said it will never go through the House of Lords, because most people in the House of Lords reject it. The far right want it, and there are about hundreds, I heard, in MPs who are far right. I'm talking of the Conservatives. 125 middle ground, they can't decide what way to turn their soul, Will there be Sunak's in a battle to prove he's worth being the Prime Minister? He should have sacked Sunak Braverman weeks ago. Why did he bring her in? And I think I've said this. She actually helped him get votes. Now I've heard now that she only brought 7 votes with her. So why? But she could have been the token far right person to try and bring the party together, which he's got to do. He's not succeeding. He's now brought from the far right Esther McVey. And she's the common sense minister. I wonder how much common sense there is there. But let me talk about James Cleverly, who's taken over Braverman's post. He was the Foreign Secretary. According to what I've heard, he did a good job. He did fuck all. Sorry, bad word. Beep! He did nothing. He just a peaceful life, and some ministers do. The position, I think, Dottie Doris is a prime example. Minister of Culture. Well, I come from Liverpool. I went to grammar school. I wonder if you ever went to school sometimes. I'm not impressed by Dottie Doris. And I call it Dottie, it's like a book. I'm going to go back to this incredible book. It's a cabal running the country. I know who they are, she said. Of course, in the book, she doesn't say who they are. Normal thing. Sell the book. Great way, isn't it? And then she said Dominic Cummings is part of it. Of course, she's madly in love with Boris. She has a bit. And later, Boris has actually said, last week, I might have mentioned this. I thought it was very humorous to read this quote. Dominic Cummings brought Sunak in to be the Prime Minister. Dominic Cummings is now nothing to do with the government. He's not part of this cabal. It's all a load of, what's the word? Hogwash. That's it. Let's be polite. So now we have a Prime Minister who doesn't care about the Human Rights Court. And if we do reject this and find another way, we join, don't worry, we're not alone. We join 2 countries, Russia and Belarus. I don't know about Belarus, but Russia's a dictatorship. So are we going to become a dictatorship? That's my question to you. It could happen. We're really, really treading bad waters right now. But let's move all this aside. I'm going to come back to, although today a friend of mine contacted me and I can't decide what to do. And I'll share with you now my quandary. Even next Friday, I devote the whole program to what he wants to bring up. And I'll tell you what it is. It's about refugees. And it's quite interesting, I think it. And only few people know about it. Only spoke to me, he's had it in the paper, but people seem to trust me. I think it must be my good looks. So I've said to him, I'm going to meet him this Sunday, we're going to record an interview. Now, even next Friday, I'm going to make it. Bang! The news thing, because definitely it won't take 10 minutes for him. Because I'll be asking questions. Or I do a special during the week. Tempted to do a special. Well, I'm getting big. No, I'm not. I'm just me. But this podcast is all about informing you. And it's an area I'm interested in. And that brings me to my final news item I was interested in this week. Oh yeah, they still can't decide about Israel. But let's leave that aside. I said no wars here. Not except it's the war in the Conservative Party, then I enjoy it. But I read an article in the paper. I read loads of articles. And this was about that up north. They're going to close this hotel. They have refugees living there. And these refugees will now become, Sue Ellen, hear this, genuinely homeless. Remember her statement? The British people are very passionate about the genuine homeless. When she talked about the tents. She talks at the back of the, you know what. So these people will not have anywhere to live for Christmas. I think that's terrible. I'm not a Christian, okay? I believe in God, that's it. I was brought up as a Jewish person, I'll tell you that. But I still believe the Palestinians had the right to march. I'm not that closed. I actually believe anybody has the right to say anything. Except say my team's rubbish. There we are. I've got it out now. Because it would worry me. But let's go back to this hotels that are going to close down. Well, they're not going to close down. Go chuck them out. There's no money. In a few weeks' time, I've got a lady called Shannon Johnson come on. And I've asked her, it's one of her specialties, housing, to talk about temporary housing. And we conclude the hotels in this. At the moment, the country is spending £1.7 billion on temporary housing. What do we do? How do we combat this thing? I don't know, honestly. I wish I did. Make me your Prime Minister. I think I'd do a terrible job. No, I would not be. Somebody once said to me, a priest once said to me, said, Ian, you'd make a great politician. No, I would not. I'm sorry to blather on like this, but it is worrying. But that's it. That's the news this week. Change. I think the Conservative Party is changing. And I'm not a Conservative. I respect if you want to vote Conservative. I respect if you want to vote Labour. I respect if you want to, even if you want to vote UKIP, which I would never vote if I was dying. But it's your right. But now all of a sudden, we're edging into what could be called a dictatorship. And that worries me. Thank you. Now I can tell you who's coming on next Monday, and that's a person to listen to. Mr. Matt Downey, who's an OBE. God, I never knew that in all the years I've known him there was one. I want one. Nah, wouldn't. He's coming on. He is CEO of Crisis. And at the beginning, we actually spoke just about Christ. And then all of a sudden, Matt used to be the policy director at Crisis before he became CEO. We do occasionally, when he has a spare moment, I've got a spare moment, we discuss the current situation. I respect him greatly, and I've realised now he respects me. And what do I know? I'm just me. But he's got a very good grasp of things. He does deal with the top hitters, but he's not like some people I know who deal with the top hitters. Everybody else doesn't matter. He really, I would describe him as he's passionate to end homelessness. And I said to him, that would never happen. But he said, no, well, I think you have to have that. Those sort of people around who are passionate. So I say, listen to next Monday. It's quite interesting. And he turned the tables on me. He asked my opinion. Monday's show is not about my opinion. This show is about, I can say my opinion. But not Monday. So, please listen to that. And if you've got the idea, would you like a special? I can't decide at the moment. I think I probably will go for the special. But it sounds, I'm only just starting. Am I trying too much too soon? I'm quite happy with, I've got loads of downloads. No, I'm happy, I'm just starting. And I've got to do publicity. And I'm a one-man band. I have a friend of mine called Neil, who helps me clean up the recordings, and he designed the logo. I only put one thing into it. I said the colour. I didn't like different colour. And he agreed that one worked. But I had a reason. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Can I wish you a very good weekend? Unfortunately, it's for us football fans, it's the internationals. And England's going to play a tough team called Malta. Yeah. Sorry. I am fanatical about my football. Have a nice weekend. I hope you enjoy yourself. And I hope you tune in on Monday. Bye.